Everybody record.
Noise.
Why don't you wait till I'm recording? Jeez. It's going to be a lot of fun. Noise check.
Noise.
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 You're listening to the iRacers Lounge podcast, where we discuss everything iRacing in a casual setting. Enjoy.
Welcome to the iRacers Lounge. I am your host, Mike Ellis. iRacers Lounge is a podcast for the iRacer, where we talk all things iRacing in a casual setting. Joining me are the usual characters, Adam Jocelyn.
How many laps of Five Flags have I done the last week?
Brian McCubbin.
Ahoy, everyone.
David Hall.
I've done 0 at Five Flags.
And Greg Hectus.
I've done 0 racing in the last week.
Hey. Well, on this week's show, I took the iRacers Lounge on the road to do a spot interview with Kyle Busch and Travis Pastrana at Nitro Rallycross event at the Wild Horse Pass. The World of Outlaw Championship Series begins this week, and we crown champions in the Dallara IR01 Championships and the World Rallycross Championships. All that plus new hardware and what's coming up for Black Friday.
And remember, you can follow along with us on your PC or mobile device in real time as you listen to the show, and see for yourself all the great topics and products we'll discuss by visiting iRacersLounge.com and selecting show notes. So we hope to see you there.
Sim Coaches offers the realistic sim racing equipment you need to win more races online. It is designed for real racers. Hydraulic construction makes them feel just like the real thing. High quality construction, 100% leak proof, and lifetime warranty are the key features with these pedals. And they look absolutely amazing. Check out simcoaches.com and use the coupon code iRacersLounge to get 5% off your purchase. Simcoaches.com, your ticket to feel like you're actually sitting behind the wheel of a car. Drive harder and stay on that limit longer.
Well, Mike, we're going to kick off topics, starting off with listening to a couple of your interviews, right?
Yeah, I had a unique opportunity this weekend. My son got us tickets to go to the Nitro Rallycross, which is an event put on by Travis Pastrana and his Nitro Circus team. And it was fun. I'm glad that we went. I skipped NASCAR Championship Week and decided to do Nitro Rallycross instead. I'm glad I did. It was a great event. We had a great time. I got to... on the way out there, I'm like, boy, it would be great if I got some interviews for the show. And my son was laughing at me a little bit like, yeah, right, like that's going to happen. And I did. I actually ran into both Travis Pastrana and Kyle Busch, so let's hear those now.
Well, how exciting was that to listen to or get to visit with Kyle and Travis there?
Well, I gotta say, I wasn't prepared. I was recording with my iPhone voice recorder. I didn't really have questions ready. These just came off the tip of my tongue. And it was more of a impromptu autograph thing where the driver just kind of walked up, was going to sign a few autographs and walk away. So I didn't want to take a lot of their time. So I basically asked each of them 2 questions only. And kind of kept it simple in respect to the other people around and the circumstances. I certainly wish I had more time to delve into it, but it was pretty darn cool.
It was pretty neat, and they did actually, they legitimately answered the questions as you asked them. Travis particularly gave some really nice feedback about the mountain climb.
Well, that's something I learned out there. They had the Mount Washington record car from this year. They have a sticker on the side of it with, he put the time, he wrote the time on the sticker, the lap time, and the date and that kind of thing. And anyway, that particular car is different than the car they were racing at Wild Horse Pass. It's different than the car we have in iRacing. It's got all these trick downforce stuff on it. It's got extra stuff that the other car didn't have that gives it more downforce. And talking with the guy at the Subaru booth that was there, additional 400 or 500 horsepower as well. I don't remember exactly how much, but it was somewhere around 400 or 500 more horsepower in that one particular car than the car that they were racing, at Wild Horse Pass. And so it is a different car, and I didn't think I really realized that, but that could explain why he gets a faster record time than what we can pull in the Rallycross car that we have.
Well, they're not allowed to. There would be rules, obviously, to race in those those things, and in the rally series there'd be rules. I don't think there's very many sanctioning rules for a hill climb. It just goes. They just whatever the power their car has goes into a category.
Yeah, and it had, like I said, all this trick downforce stuff where little diffusers and like the whole back of the car, there's a big hole in it. It's all aero, and there's so much aero going on, and you wouldn't think it, but there is.
Well, we like to make... Oh, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, as far as Kyle Busch goes, we'll talk about that later in the show when we talk about the Monday Night Racing League. But it was fun to talk to him, and it ended up being a good week for him.
The next thing we have, if you're looking to hear us butcher more track names, you may get your wish, because there are rumors that iRacing is looking at some tracks in Norway.
I'll try take a stab at him. Valor Bannon, Rudskogen.
All right, we need our Viking brothers to call in and let us know how bad that was. And this picture does look kind of neat, though. That big carousel followed by a sharp turn, depending on which direction the track goes. That's pretty neat.
Yeah, and the rumor on the website, boxthislap.org, specifically says in the new iRacing Season 1 2022 season. So that's the one that's coming up here in early December, right?
Yeah, we're in week 10, I think, of Season 4.
Right, so they're basically saying to expect it here in a few weeks.
Well, Greg,
it's a closed track. How would you describe the track, David? Lots of sweeping turns.
Well, I did not look at the overall map of it, but the picture that I have in the top, it's got this huge carousel followed by a sharp 90-degree turn. So that's going to be very technical.
That they're showing, and you just click on the first link there. I think it's got a go-kart track beside it. Does it not look like a smaller go-kart car beside it?
Yeah, maybe that is a separate piece. That's not part of the main track. That makes sense.
You say go-kart track?
Get your passport and go to Norway, dude.
I was going to say, Adam, you
Laugh
definitely...
at my card.
Adam, you need to come down to St. Louis next year, and there's a nice go-kart track there. We can race for reals.
Okay.
I
I'm
wonder
going to
if,
the gym and losing weight, so we'll see.
I wonder if Adam can start 15th and or go from 15th to 1st in that. Which brings us into our next topic here on the iRacers iRacing official Instagram page, there's a video posted of DJ McCabe who went from 15th to 1st at Talladega, and I was like, oh, this is going to be one of those videos that's, about, passing and doing a whole bunch of stuff, and it ends up being, yeah, he's passing, but he's passing because everybody's wrecking in front of him, and he just seems to be the one car that stays out of the way of everybody wrecking and, goes on to take the win, it looks like.
Yeah, that's pretty epic.
I mean, to have the C's part like that multiple times from turn 3 on, you don't get very lucky like that all the time.
It was really the combination of two different scenarios and two different instances. You missed the first big one. There were still, 5 or 6 cars coming to the line, and then they wrecked, and he missed that one too. So it was like double jeopardy he missed.
Well, and he saw the first wreck, and he did, obviously he went to the inside, and he's now below, I guess we'd call it the double yellow line, but, he's now down there. And once he's down there, he basically wants to stay down there for the rest of it.
Yeah, well, you'll take those when you get them, because for every one of those, there's 5 or 6 or 20 times that you do get caught up in it.
I'm usually part of the 20 times that I get part of that. That does not happen for me, luck-wise.
I'd like to introduce this one, David. The Sarah Fall Brawl. When I think of that, I think of what we've experienced in the Winter League, which is a deep, deep field of really, really good drivers. And Sarah has been around forever. So, and our very own Adam Jocelyn is involved in the Sarah Fall Brawl. So, Adam, why don't you tell us all about it?
Yeah, so I've tried to make this race 3 times, and the first 2 times I didn't have quite the car, and somehow I got in, and this time I qualified 29th out of 50 cars, and what happens is the top 10 get locked in, and everybody else comes back the next night for the heat races, and there's 3 heat races with like 15 cars, and the top 4 from each heat race make it into the feature, and the rest go to a LCQ race where the top 3 make it. Well, last year I had to go to the LCQ race. I listened to a podcast this week about a super late model race, and my buddy Scott, he said, yeah, it's great to make the race, but you also want to start as high as possible. So I had the feeling I was going to probably get in. It took some luck last night, but I was actually racing for the lead at one point in this heat race and got stuffed in the wall, but yeah, I finished 3rd and racing in probably the biggest super late model race. One of them. Tonight, actually.
Yeah, and good luck. Tell us about some of the drivers in there. I mean, not only are they high I-rating, but these are the who's who of super late models, right?
Yeah, it's the top of the food chain of short track racing on the sim. 50 cars qualified, and they're almost all in 2/10 of each other. I mean, you guys saw the times. It was down to thousandths of a second between each car. I don't know if I'm going to win, but probably just shoot for a top 10. Just try and stay on the lead lap the first half of the race and let some cars get a lap down and play some pit strategy. And I finally won my first Sarah race in 3 years last week, so it's pretty good momentum going into this.
It is. That win last week, congratulations on that. That alone is a huge accomplishment. Making this race is also an accomplishment because there's so many people trying to get in it.
Yeah, hopefully try and do it again next year too. Maybe get you guys involved with it. It's hard, but it's fun. I wouldn't say it's fun. Wednesday night isn't fun. Thursday night's the fun night. They get us all lined up on the front stretch and take a picture and all that.
So this is 5 Flags super late, right?
Correct. And last year it was at North Wilkesboro for a throwback race, but every year before that it's been at 5 Flags. And 5 Flags is not an easy track. It's really, really finicky with the setup.
Now, remember, there's an official version of this, going on, that's mirroring the NIS open time slots. And so if you're available, you should try to run the official version of it too.
Yeah, is there an open one on Sunday? If there is, I'll run it.
It's during the normal NIS open time, so yeah, there is.
I'm game to run that on Sunday morning. But Yeah, hopefully we're going to go turn some more laps here and boogie out of here and be on the show next week, guys.
Yeah, come tell us about your win.
I hope. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, good luck. We'll be rooting. Let's switch gears to World of Outlaws. With the NOS Energy Drink Sprint Car Championship Series. Let's go through this round. The heat race winners were top qualifier Blake Matulis, Kendall Tucker, Alex Bergeron, and Cameron Merriman. Heat 3 shakeup last year's series runner-up Hayden Cardwell crashes on the first lap and is relegated to the C main.
Yeah, Mike, and that wasn't it. His luck didn't end there, because in the C main he got into another lap 1 incident, and he didn't recover from that to make the main event. So Hayden Cardwell, last year's series runner-up, did not get any points in that race last night. Another driver not getting any races was J.D. Hollywood Brown, which is a cool nickname, and he's another series contender, and he suffered a connection drop and missed the race too. So he's out of the points for this race for this week as well.
Series announcer and former show guest Chase Rodman confirmed the scanning of Port Royal Speedway. They interviewed Brian Carter, the CEO of World Racing Group, the premier sanctioning body for in-the-feature event dirt track racing in the United States and Canada.
Yeah, so that took us to the feature race, and it was dominated by Blake Machulis, who went wire to wire. He led all 35 laps to take that win. Alex Bergeron started in third, made his way to second, and did press him for a while, but he finished second, and Cameron Merriman the third. Now, Alex Bergeron, he was catching him running the high line, which was the fast line, but every time he tried to dive under to get past Blake Majulis, he just could not complete the pass. There wasn't enough grip on the bottom, so he wound up just lining up right behind him. The slide job didn't work, and Blake Majulis blocked the slide line on the last couple laps to keep him from really throwing a Hail Mary in there. So Blake Majulis, he's actually a former World of Outlaws late model champion, but in the sprint cars, this is actually his rookie season. He's never been in the sprint car championship. So he claims a stake to dethrone Alex Bergeron for the championship already in week 1. And man, what a way to start your career in the sprint car world championships. You win pole, you win your heat, and you win the feature. So he's basically has not been bested at all in the first round of the sprint car championships. So next week we go short track racing to Kokomo, I think it was, and we'll keep you posted and see how things shake out there.
Yeah, I caught the very end, some of the action going on there. It was fun. And Alex Bergeron, man, he was trying hard. You could tell.
Yeah, it was a fun race to watch because, man, the cushion got right up against the wall. People were just riding as high as they could. There were a couple yellow flags that came out when people actually overshot the cushion and wound up wrecking into the guardrail. So it was a thin line between fast and crashing, and most of the guys made it through, but the bottom line just could not keep up so much. So yeah, it was different earlier in the race. In the heat races, the bottom line, you could make passes and you could throw it in there and get it to stick. But as the track kind of hardened up and got washed out, that bottom line just was not there. Volusia's a really fun track if you guys haven't raced it before. The two turns are kind of different, because the front straightaway is straight, and the back side of the track is like one long curve. So it's kind of fun. You can really get up against that outside wall and dive it in. And Volusia's like one of the more fun tracks, I think.
Well, as we continue talking about iRacing results, the Monday Night League racing fired up again, and this time it was Kyle Busch who took the win in his Rowdy Energy Monday Night Racing League. Or I guess that is that the title of the sponsor? Am I reading that for the series?
Yeah, they're title sponsor of the league.
Okay, so that's good. He's sponsoring it and winning in it. He won at Michigan, and the reason he won is because he answered some questions for Mike.
Isn't that ironic, So I interviewed Travis, and then he won the Rallycross race at Wild Horse Pass. And then I interviewed Kyle Busch, and then he won the Monday Night League race the very next day. So there's got to be something to it,
Yeah, we're going to see some more iRacing podcast links to winners coming up later in the show. So stick around and you can hear how coming on our show might just get you some victories.
I think the drivers, you need to email me and, let's get you on and get you some of that luck going. But yeah, Kyle schooled them. I mean, this was a great race to watch. I can't tell you how entertained I am by Monday Night Racing. I mean, it's like watching NASCAR. It's the announcing is great. Lots of good storylines, lots of great drivers. They had, Darrell Waltrip and Gil Martin on as a guest announcers. Gil Martin is a old crew chief from the past. I think he used to be Clint Boyer's crew chief back in the day, but he's the dad of Ford Martin, who's the guy who runs the league and drives in the league. But they're related, son and father. And so it was interesting, to have that dynamic, to have Dad, calling the race. And so it was fun. I was very entertained, and it was fun to watch, Kyle Busch and root him on to the win after I knew Travis won after I interviewed him, so I was really counting on Kyle to come through, and he did. The other good news I want to mention for Kyle is Samantha and him announced they're having a baby girl. It's official, and can't be more happy for them.
So in the pre-race show, wasn't Larry McReynolds and Darrell Waltrip was in there, right?
Oh yeah, they always have Larry come on and do keys to the race kind of thing, and I think they do it right from the studio and everything. That's what I mean. It's like watching NASCAR, and then I don't know. Anytime, I mean, Darrell Waltrip could read the phone book, and I'd probably be entertained. But he just has all this experience, and the things that he says about what's going on track are spot on and relevant, and it's great racing. I definitely recommend everyone to watch it.
I don't recommend Darrell Waltrip with his accuracy in names reading the phone book.
He'd do about as good as us.
I was gonna say, I mean, we any of us wouldn't be any better, but there's some names he would probably get just blunder just as bad as we do.
And this James Pike, man, what a dream job. I mean, this guy has announcing this race. He's working hand in hand with DW and Larry and Gil Martin and all these celebrities from Fox Sports, and it must be just amazing to call a race with these legends.
And I actually saw that last week Kyle Busch finished second at their race. I think it was at Texas. That was a really good finish to the end of that race too.
They have some crazy combination. I think the next one is Daytona Road with Mazda Cup.
That's cool. It's fun to think of those high profile, like really highly experienced racers going back to like a rookie class car, basically.
How do we get the Podfather in that for? Since he loves the Mazdas, we got to get him in that type of race.
I do, okay.
That's what I'm saying. We got to get you into some of those races so we, celebrity podcaster.
Well, they were talking about the league that David was mentioning, which is the feeder league to Monday Night Racing, where you can, like, you win in there and then you get promoted to the big league.
Does that need fuel strategy in that league, or pit strategy?
Oh.
Well, another strategy that we all employ every year is to save money on our subscription for iRacing. So the big Black Friday sale is on, and this is probably the second week we've talked about this. So it's 50% off for new members, and it's 25% off for renewals or reactivations for 12 or 24 months. So this is a great thing to get. And it goes on to, I think, what was it, December 5th or 3rd? I can't remember what the date was, but it's a great deal.
Yeah, get it while the getting's good, guys, or you're going to pay full price. Next up is, I forget who sent me this, and I do apologize about that if it's you, but the Esports Weekly has been released, the first edition. It's an online newspaper-style weekly periodical developed by Jay Scalise and partner Braden Goddard for an added level of immersion for the iRacing enthusiast. And this is, you click on it and it opens up, on your website, on your webpage browser. It's one of those magazine things where you have it looks like a magazine and you flip the page and you can go left or right and it looks, you can see the crease, where the page flips. So it looks like a magazine, and you can zoom in on it and read the article and so forth. The articles are basically covering about, I don't know, he's got 6 or 8 different leagues in here, and he's covering the races that happened in those leagues, who the winner was, what the lineup was, what happened, what was the finishing results, that kind of stuff. Text with a picture, usually there's 1 or 2 pictures, but it's just your, typical sports page kind of thing. I like this old stuff. I mean, what do you think, Brian?
I really like it. I looked through it today, and you're right. It works like whatever program they're using works like a reader, like a Kindle or iBooks or something like that. So you just flip along the pages. Like all the stories are noted by the author, just like you would see in the columns of a sports page. The way they write it is very matter-of-fact style, just like it would be. They don't add commentary or opinions or anything like that. So it's hard not to compare this to your typical sports page type of publication that you would get either at a racetrack. Sometimes you go to a racetrack and they hand these things out, or what used to be newspapers that everybody got. That's a kind of a dying industry, and hardly anybody gets them anymore. But it's cool to have this throwback immersion type of feel that they put out in this website.
This is an absolutely needed kind of resource too. I mean, I would use it for the show. If I had a link I could bring up once a week and get some results, that are consistent and accurate, we would probably talk about them a little bit on the show. So I'm going to be watching this closely. You can find, I think the best way to follow it is on Facebook, search Esports Weekly and like their page, so to speak, and then you'll get notified when they put up a magazine. And from what they say, it's going to be weekly. So
some good thinking in the bathroom and good reading in the bathroom on your Kindle.
And if I was a league owner, I'd be wanting to contact these guys and getting my league into their magazine. Let's promote, let's get a bunch of leagues on this, and let's make it into a real resource that iRacers want to check out.
Yeah, it would be really cool to see your name in this, in these articles, because it's like finding your name in the newspaper. It'd be really cool. So yeah, I would think they already do in this first edition. They do recap some league races, and it's really well done. So yeah, I think you're right. If I was running a league, I would probably contact these guys and see if they can cover my results.
What else is pretty cool, Brian?
Okay, this is really cool. This was in the forums. It was posted by Robin Trustwell, and he put together a forum post with a brief history of iRacing, including the first known iRacing review video on the Inside Sim Racing. It was hosted by Sean Cole, who you know now, and we've used his videos on here. He's runs the Sim Pit. So the YouTube channel, the Sim Pit. So it goes over the all the major milestones in the iRacing history. It's got a picture of the first victories of first open victory anybody ever won in the Skip Barber. But I want to go back to the video because I thought that was just fascinating. So this was done by the Inside Sim Racing channel, and it's a video channel, and the video is linked in this page. And Sean Cole's in there, and I was so surprised to see Sean Cole, because this is probably 15 years ago that this video was put out, and he uses the same basic format for reviews that he does now, basically, except this is a review of iRacing. So he goes step by step over iRacing, what it's all about. It's so cool to see this from the perspective of somebody who's just reviewing it for the first time. And it's very nostalgic. Some of the things that are on there that I thought were really cool was I didn't remember that you used to qualify in a separate session than your race.
Yeah, that was there. That was where you could qualify every 15 minutes, I think it was, and it would.
Yeah, I remember that.
Whatever, and you could better your qualifying time all season so if you had a really good qual, you would just stop qualifying and it would count every race that you went into. But then if you qualified,
it would last for the week.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Right. It's lasts for that whole week, but. If you had a really good qual, then you're automatically if you're really, really fast, you could be up front every time and only qualify once. It's not like now where you have to qualify every time you get into a session, right?
Yeah, you would go in and it would be a 5-minute warm up with no qual session, and yeah, you could go ahead and you just set it for whatever you wanted. And it's like the Indy 500 still works. When you qualify for those, that's a separate qualifying session.
So that's really cool. I forgot that was a thing. So another thing that he mentioned that saves all of your racing history. You can go back and recap all your races, and then he mentioned that you can recap other drivers or the top of the charts. So while he was on there, I screenshotted this. He looked up the top racers from the Skip Barber Racing Series. It was from 2008, the Summer Series, and Gregor Hutu, who we talked about a couple weeks ago. How dominant he was in open wheel racing. He was at the top of the leaderboard, and check out these stats he had: 6 wins, 6 starts, 6 top 5, 6 poles. Laps led 127. Laps completed 127. So he's run 6 races. He led every single lap and won every single pole for all 6 races. So he was pretty dominant back in the day, I'd say.
Holy cow! The video, I didn't see that before you mentioned it. And the other thing on the video that's interesting is looking at what iRacing looked like that back then. I mean, it's got a different look to it for sure, graphically.
Does it not bring back memories though, Mike? Like, I know you and I have been around for a long time on the sim. Like, I remember when the list of cars was like, I think 12 was when I came in. There was only like 12 cars in the sim, and every time they'd add one, it was like the biggest thing, and that would be like every one car a year they would add, almost like the way that was going at one point. And it just looking at some of these pictures, I'm like, we raced on that, and now what it's awesome.
Yeah, because in the video he does some hot laps in the Legends coupe at Lanier, and that's where I started. So as he's watching this, that's what I was just thinking about. it was been over 10 years since I first started iRacing too, and that's where I started, and it just brought back a lot of nostalgia watching him turn laps in that car. Even though you can go back to it at any time, still it's still neat to see it from fresh eyes that he had back in 2008 when he did this video.
So how much does iRacing cost a month if you just pay for it monthly? I don't even know.
It's like under $9 a month if you get a discounted rate, right?
Well, if you think about it, like I'm guessing what Mike's thinking that is, or imagine back when you're first starting, then the sim was starting up. It's like, was it, do I want to invest for a full year, or do I want to do month by month because I don't know how well it's going to be, right?
Well, what I ask is, there's a screenshot in the video that shows the pricing. 1 month membership, $20 a month.
Yeah, it's not anywhere near that price now. It's lower than that, I believe, a lot lower.
And then if you did 12-month membership, $13 a month.
And not to mention, you get a bunch of iRacing credits too, didn't you, in the 1 month thing?
Right. It says you get $60 credit for future use with the 12 months at $13 a month. But that's to buy the tracks and cars and hosted events and that kind of thing.
Did they even? I can't remember. Did they would have hosted right off the bat? Or was hosted something was added later on? I can't even remember.
Probably added later, I would guess, but...
I'm trying to remember how that went in.
But what's interesting, so the left side shows the price. On the right side, it says, all memberships include the Legends Coupe and the Pontiac Solstice. That's it. 2 cars. The tracks, Lanier, Lime Rock, Oxford, Summit Point, South Boston, Lowe's Motor Speedway, Mazda Raceway, Laguna Seca. That's it. So 7 tracks, 2 cars.
I remember when I first started, not every NASCAR track was done.
It took them, I think, into the COT era they were still doing cars.
You mean tracks? They were still doing tracks.
Tracks. Sorry. Yeah. Thanks, Brian.
Yeah. I think you're right. It was a good amount of years before they had all the NASCAR tracks. But I highly recommend, if you have any interest in seeing some of the early days of iRacing, definitely go check this out. Go on our webpage, iRacersLounge.com, and go to the link. It'll take you right there, and you can watch that video that's in the forum link, and it's just a blast.
So, back to the thread on the forums. Fantastic history by year of iRacing, and I can't commend that guy who wrote that enough. But if you scroll down on the thread, you'll find a post by staff member Nicholas Bailey talking specifically about the traffic on the website during the COVID stuff. And then he put up a graph of signups per hour. He said, here you can see the pre-pandemic sign-up level, and then things ramp up a bit as things shut down. And finally, on the 22nd, things really took off with another big spike on the 29th, and we were on TV a second or third time. It continued like this for several months with spikes during the broadcast. And it's a graph that shows the number of signups per hour. And it's kind of interesting to see how it exploded, when NASCAR got involved during the COVID thing. And then the other graph he shows is the website traffic, and they show, and they mark, which ones were big jumps in views on the website. And the big jumps were when there were iRacing commercials or possibly just commercial breaks, and they're referring to the March 22nd 2019 broadcast. And then the other jump was when Lando Norris was streaming iRacing after the virtual Grand Prix.
This is an awesome article, or whole thing going over here. Robin Trustwell did a great job here.
Well, moving on to the next topic, we have the RX, or Rallycross, World Championship finale. Starting off with the winner of the race, our frequent guest and friend of the show, Vicente Salas. He won his first Rallycross World Championship right after coming on the show.
He won the race.
I'm sorry, I said it backwards. Yeah, it says champion. Well, did I not say race?
You didn't say the word race. You just said
I did not say the word race.
Yeah.
I'm bad at reading. He won his first race in the series finale at Charlotte, while John Robertson also takes the championship.
So get interviewed on the iRacers Lounge podcast and then win, right?
Seems to be a running theme this week.
How do we get this? If this is how it is, David, me and you need to get interviewed by Mike here so that we can have some good luck for tomorrow night.
Oh, you got to get me out of this slump first. Man, it continues.
All right, do you guys, anybody hear that? I need a new partner for the race tomorrow night.
Bye. Okay, bye.
I went on the Aftermath as a guest, and I wrecked out 3 times, 2 steering wheels, and something else. My headset went out, I think.
And that was all just in the interview, right?
Yes.
I missed the most recent race. Unfortunately, I had some training at work and wasn't able to kind of peruse this while working. But it's been a fun championship. John Robertson wins a championship, 10 grand prize, and it's pretty cool that iRacing, put this up, basically without a sponsor, from what I can tell. So I'm glad that they're continuing on, having championships in each discipline, and that's pretty cool.
I don't think they want to, they don't want this to die on iRacing. They want this series to be viable. So, at some point you got to put some money into invest in it and see what comes of it. Maybe it catches on a little bit further down the road. Maybe some of these time attack tracks that they're doing is going to help drive some of this stuff too, right?
Yeah, so congratulations to John Robertson taking that title. He's from Apex Racing. We're going to hear a lot more about Apex Racing in the show, so stick around for some more information about that group. It's pretty impressive.
Who wants a Sammy? Oops, sorry, David.
No, go ahead. I thought that was you that was getting up. I got my pictures mixed up on the screen because Mike just popped up and stepped away.
So who deserves a Sammy? So I guess you can vote right now for the VCO Sammy Awards for 2021. So it's the year's best esports sim racers, as well as sim sport others, as well as in other sim sports categories.
You just dropped out. You just dropped out.
You got me?
Yep.
Sorry about that. Try this again. So the VCO Sammy Awards for the 2021 year's best sim esports sim racing, as well as other sim sports categories. You can vote on. So they posted this on their Twitter page on the VCO Sammy Awards. The voting phase is on. Tell us who deserves a Sammy by. You have till November 30th to get the awards stuff in here. Just trying to bring it up here to see some of the categories. So they got best esports racer. Brian, you said you went through this? Do you remember some of them? I'm just trying to get it because it's only showing one at a time.
Yeah, there's like best team. There's best announcers. I remember that one being in there. I think it was best broadcasts. So there was quite a few different categories in there. Sorry, I don't mean to correct you, Greg, but the Sammys are for the best Sammy Davis Jr. person. These are for the Simmies, the best sim racing drivers.
Oh, did I screw that up? My bad. I was seeing letters. That was my bad.
Sammys.
Simmy's. That was my bad. Thanks, Brian. I'm seeing things today.
Yeah, so this, and I did go through these. They are very heavily weighted on the roadside, and I believe, Mike, you had something to add to that because you got some information earlier today about this.
Yeah, I was watching Twitter. I don't know if it was today or last night, but Evan Pasoko, our friend, he twittered out, "Man, there's nothing in here about ovals or me. I'm not nominated as a broadcaster," and felt a little bit slighted, and I don't blame him. Steve Myers actually responded to that tweet and said, "Yeah, I don't recognize these if they don't have any North American oval stuff in here." So earlier today, VCO tweeted out that they've added a new question for best oval driver. So I haven't gone into the questionnaire yet to see what that is, but apparently they heard the noise and are adjusting.
I'm just trying to, I went through it. They didn't, from what I just clicked here, it hasn't been updated. I don't believe here, hold on. Yeah, there hasn't been, the oval one's not showing up or whatever. The other problem with that is, okay, just add that, but they have a category in here, best car, best teams. Like, there's some oval sides that are not getting any love at all. Is there any dirt racing sides? There's a bunch of stuff that would have been missed.
Yeah, I don't know how much weight, like Steve was saying, I don't know how much weight I take into this. I mean, because, like you said, there's so much, missing, and it's such a broad field that we're trying to award. I mean, if you look at sim racing in general, I mean, and that's what they're looking at. They're not just looking at iRacing, but you'll see that the nominees are spread across multiple sims and genres.
You know what the interesting thing would be here is if iRacing took a lead with somebody and had the iRacing awards, because then they could go through a whole bunch of stuff. Because even if you look at some of the stuff on here, it's more European based, right? And I know the VCO stuff is a European, is more European focused, but most of the stuff, even the influencers are the European influencers. There's nothing like North America, this side of the world. And I don't want to be that, trying to fight each side here, but it's just this one, maybe it just is more of a European esports type of thing that they're trying to focus on, whereas maybe iRacing should make up their own and have an award something for sim racing, just iRacing based.
So I found the tweet, and it said, "We decided to make amends. We will add a new category on Monday called Best Oval Racer of the Year. Nominations are now open. Please reply to this tweet and nominate the driver who deserves it the most."
Is it going to be Mitchell DeJong?
So some of the
so it's going to be a road racer that's an oval racer now?
It's Mitchell DeJong and
Jimmy Bullis, Michael Cozy Jr., Keegan Leahy. See, who else do I see in here?
Should Ashton Crowler be?
Mitchell DeYoung. Lots of people saying Michael Cozy Jr. He's the guy who won the Firecracker 400. He won in the Road to Pro Phoenix race. He's in the Pro series as well.
You just saying something there. The Firecracker race. What's the Parker Kligerman and what's his name's their esports stuff?
iRacer GG.
They would be perfect to create a award show with the way they do their presentations, don't you think? Could you imagine them all dressed up, kind of giving away awards for e-racing?
Tuxedo.
Yeah.
I think you're onto something.
Hey, we're media as well. I've got a tux.
Ooh.
I know how to spell tux. As long as it's not a Sammy Simmy.
You
Instead of a loungy.
You have to loungy. You have to own one if you're in a symphony. So yeah.
The loungies.
That sounds like. Wait a minute. We should.
That sounds like we should be in a tux. That would be a different clothing item.
That would take a lot of work to put that together.
Bathrobes.
All right, so we had a release this week. I went through the release notes here. I wasn't impressed. It's one of those releases where it really, they didn't really do a lot that's really customer facing, I guess.
It's basically a patch.
It's a patch. They're fixing just minor stuff, very minor.
Well, and the next, we got to be figuring out, coming up to the next build, that's the big, usually the end of year build is always a huge one, and we haven't heard much yet coming up, right? So these
just had that rumor.
Yeah, but we have little patches here right now, but, we haven't heard a lot on some of the other stuff for the sim racing, and and whatever they do for the patch for the next, or the big update for next season, starts off next year, right? So it's got to go on they got to get stuff out that's for a lot of the Coke series stuff. They got to get the right stuff out for the cars. They got to get that out before those seasons start.
It's a pretty safe guess to say that A Open will switch to the new car.
Rain, anybody?
Who cares?
Huh. If they're going to switch to the Open, they got to make sure they know what package they're putting in that car before they give it to us fully.
Yeah, if they don't have that switched over, that means the A Open will still be running the Gen 6 when NIS starts. We got another series to talk about, Brian.
Yeah, so the eNASCAR Contender Series, the Pro Series, continues. This week's winner, Donovan Strauss. So he takes the checkered flag at the Contender Series at the Auto Club Speedway. We also, Blake Reynolds finished second, and Fabiola finished third. So Alan Bowes was fourth, and Garrett Lowe was fifth. A lot of names that have been in the big series, filling up the top five there.
Bonus points for getting Barney in the screenshot.
Yeah, I watched this race on Tuesday night. It was entertaining as well. Interested to see, who is doing well and who's not doing well. I'm almost more entertained by looking at who's running 30th to 40th. Because, desperation sinks in at some point, The other thing that was notable, remember last week we talked about a guy who quit professional sim racing literally in the middle of the race. He parked it and finished 40th and put on social media he was retiring. Well, guess what? He was in the race again this week.
So he's doing the just fake everybody out.
Mark Martin. I think there was another post by that guy, Brian Schoenberg, that basically said, he was going to keep racing the series to finish out the year, because he's got a team, and there's other people on the team, and he's not just going to quit in the middle of it, kind of thing, is kind of the way I read it.
Do you think it would have been better served for him to not go about it the way he did? If you're going to retire...
Not say anything, right.
Just wait till, say your last race or 2 races to go and say something about it, and don't, what did he left the race and then all of a sudden posted a couple minutes later on social media. It just kind of... It defeats the purpose.
So it looks like there's 4 races left in that series. I tried for the past 5 minutes to find the standings, and I cannot find standings for this.
It may actually be under leagues instead of official. some of the Premier Series are saved as a league rather than official racing. But speaking of official racing, we had recently had the 10 Hours of Suzuka. And Rob Crouch has posted a series of statistics that you can check out for the special event. A lot of it you just see the same average distribution of iRating, how many championships points were paid in each split. You can see some divisions by clubs. There's some interesting dot graphs with like finishing positions, and I don't know what Grand Chelem means, but do either of y'all know what that is? Grand Chelems, okay, that's pole position, one race, fastest lap, and led every lap. And there were apparently 4 in the series. But basically, they just completely dominated the whole race. The splits, I didn't really take a look at. The most represented club was still USA with the Netherlands and isn't that DEAT and CH? Doesn't that include the Netherlands, like Dutch?
Germany too, isn't it? I thought it
was
that stuff.
And then UK was the third big representation, and then Iberia and Aussie bringing up the other clubs.
Cleanest teams, Donkey Bop Racing 003 with 0.001 incidents a quarter over 284 laps.
So they may have had one off track, I guess. Otherwise, it would have been 0 completely, huh? Cleanest racer, not cleanest name. And that brings us to a new iRacing Top 10 highlight, Greg.
Yeah, so we didn't have top 10s last week. It was not so top 10 last week, right?
Knots, yeah, we had knots last week.
So this week's is up. There's a couple 5 wide at the beginning at Dover in the Skippies. I've never thought about running the Skippies at Dover, but that looks like it would be a fun track for those cars on it. Definitely maybe something to try someday for us when we do a host today.
I think that I saw that and that's number 10 in the countdown. I saw that and I was like, that looks fun, because the Skippies, I never see them on oval tracks hardly ever, except for maybe week 13 type of stuff. But this was a serious pack of race cars. I don't think they probably draft up well enough that you can't pull away. You're almost full throttle, even at Dover. But it looked like a lot of fun.
Yeah, and the next clip, number 9, is the one we covered. I think it was last week. We covered that Dallara splitting a Skippy and stuff on the big Coca-Cola Speedway. Crazy.
Yeah, that was the real-life driver, Stefan Wilson, splitting 2 Formula Vs on the Coke Super Speedway. And if you play that video long enough, you'll see there's a stock car behind him, too. So there's all kinds of stuff in this race.
You're allowed 7 or 8 in here. We're going to put 7 or 8 different cars.
That's right.
The one I really like, and David, as a road racer, you probably can, you'd like this. The standing start, Allison Malone went from 11th to 3rd on the front stretch at Road America on his start, which is a monster start in the Porsche, because that's crazy to get that many positions and not run into somebody.
That's a don't lift scenario, right?
Well, the guys, usually guys are switching lanes and stuff there, and you got to try and anticipate it, but everyone kind of just minded their P's and Q's, and he got through it.
The question is, how did the rest of the race go?
Probably.
Did that start on pit road? It looks like it's on the road, not the actual racetrack.
No, that's on the front stretch there at Road America.
Or it's just the way that track is.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's another with the Delaras. There's a nice last lap at Road Atlanta. It looks like. Hold on, let me try to see what this track this is. Oh no, sorry, it's Sebring, and they're battling really, really hard for the majority of the lap there, and it's side by side in these cars through all the corners, back and forth, trying to do crossovers, and it's a great battle. I really, when you can have a nice battle with somebody and respect them on the inside and outside like that, it's really fun racing.
I'd have to say my favorite was actually number 5, which is like a league race in the truck series at Texas. They're running 5 wide on the backstretch on the last lap, and they get down to 3 cars headed to the finish line, and they're like crashing into each other as they slide across the finish line, 3 wide, crashing at the same time, and the finish is like within a less than a foot of the 3 cars.
Well, that one car looked like he wanted to do the pass in the grass there.
Yeah.
He goes on the inside.
But it's really cool because they had really good announcers to it in their league race that they had. So the announcing is really, really well done. The announcers are just going bonkers because it's such a crazy finish. It's such a crazy race.
They even have a throwback here where the 49 Lotus is at Indy. And they look like they're fun to drive at Indy doing the oval there. They look like we're having fun racing and drafting. I really have not put a lot of time into this car ever on the sim. I remember this car from Grand Prix Legends days, but side by side battle for the win there, and then getting together at the end. It's awesome.
Do you own that car, Greg? Or?
Yeah, I've raced it in some. I think I've had to race it doing the what's that series, David? That we were doing last year.
MTech.
No, but the other. What did they change? They do all kinds of different cars. The Lotus 49. They did the other Lotus.
Oh, that's
too.
the majors. Yeah.
Majors. Sorry. Yeah. Apparently, my memory is gone today.
Yeah, I don't have that car actually. I've always been tempted to get it, but I haven't made the purchase yet.
Did you ever play Grand Prix Legends back in the day?
Yes, I did, and I actually had the original and then the updated version because they made it was a third-party graphical update, and it made the graphics a lot better than the originals. And man, I remember racing that at Watkins Glen, and that car was diabolically hard to drive. It was just loose. It was so loose.
But that was Watkins Glen with no guardrails. There had guardrails, and then some spot there was no guardrails, and there was hay bales.
Yeah, that was a really good sim. It was kind of groundbreaking for the day. It was all part of Papyrus's development into what now they have iRacing, and I'm really glad they did go back and do that. I know that there's a lot of dedicated drivers who race that car religiously, and the only thing is if I get it, it would just be to have fun with, because if you get into a official race with guys who've been running that car for years like that are really dedicated to it, they're just going to just smoke you.
Well, my question...
that's how I lost all my I rating with the sprint car.
Yeah. Well, those guys are dedicated because there's not very many of them, and you go in it and it's like, uh-oh.
Yeah, you're gonna finish dead last. Yep.
The open races are like league races because you see the same people all the time because they just love it.
Well, and Brian, I'm wondering for you, and then this would be I don't know the answer to this, but with a motion rig, a car like that has a lot of travel in its suspension. Would it feel a lot different than a normal, how do some of these older cars feel to the newer stuff stiffness wise on a motion rig?
Yeah, I'm not sure. The truck that I use that has the most motion, obviously, is the Pro trucks because of the suspension on them. Is so much travel in the suspension. But I don't know how those would be. You're tempting me to buy it. Next time I get some credit somehow, I might just take one.
I just think, like, from looking at that car, it brings back so many memories from when I used to play Grand Prix Legends. But yeah, it's an awesome car. So maybe we should go from our topic of the old style 49 car to Mike. What were you calling this car now? I knew you had it, like a rocket car. David was questioning your new name for it today in chat.
Oh, he said, who is Laura? And I said, it's the Day Laura. It's the Day Laura iRacing Grand Prix Championship, round 9.
Yeah, with the context, the way you did it and you spaced it out, I thought you went talking about for the day, and then it looked like a comma, Laura. And I was like, who's Laura? So now it's just the Laura car.
It's the Laura, yeah.
Hi, guys.
We'll just shorten it to Laura.
The Jet Laura. So this Force Dynamics iRacing Grand Prix series, we've been covering a week behind because of the time that it broadcasts. But a little inside baseball here. We're recording the show a little later than typical. Actually got to get the results and a review of both races for today. So I'm going to start off with round 9, which was last week, and that was the penultimate round of the series, with the championship coming to with the championship at this week. So Suzuka was last week, and the winner was Martin van Luzenoord again. That was his 6th of 9 races that he won in that series. But even with that 6 wins, he was still 2 points behind the series leader, Peter Bergeron, with one race cut this morning to go, or this afternoon to go, which was held at Hungaroring. So this guy has really dominated. And Peter Bergeron at this point of the season series, that would week 9, he had won 2 of the 9 races. So between Martin van Luzenoord and Peter Bergeron, they had won 8 of the 9 races going into this last championship. So it's really just been a two driver race for this championship. And so this afternoon was round 10 at Hungaroring. And Mike, what happened in that one?
Well, before we do that, I want to point out last week when Martin won his 6th win of the season, he got congratulations from none other than Romain Grosjean, who's an IndyCar driver. He said very proud of Martin van Luzenoord after his win. So I thought that was pretty cool to get a shout out from a former F1 driver.
Current IndyCar driver. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
And death-defying crash, or what do you call it? Avoiding death to fire.
Now, my schedule shifted a little bit here for 3 weeks for training for work, and I was actually able to catch round 10 or part of it, the last part of it, during lunch today. And so it was at Hungaroring. Peter Bergeron, he picks up his 3rd win of the season and the title of the inaugural champion of the Force Dynamics Dallara iRacing Grand Prix Championship at the Hungaroring after a tough points battle with Martin van Luzenoord, who finished the race in 3rd. And how it played out was, first of all, I got to say this is like watching an F1 race. It really is. There's different tires. There's hard and mediums, and you have that going, the strategy on that, like the guys who started on medium, when are they going to pit? Are they going to try to stretch it? What are their lap times? So the announcers are really, really good, and they really, if you're a race fan that's into F1, you're going to love this kind of racing. I mean, it was all about who's going to get out first after pit stops, and he's already been out for 2, and this guy's coming out, and are they going to beat each other out? So it was very fascinating to watch. But after pit stops have cycled, Martin van Luzenoord takes the lead from another guy, I forget who it was, and Peter Bergeron's right there behind him, and Peter Bergeron's coming and he actually does get to the lead, and we have these guys literally side by side going into a corner for the lead. Martin was on the outside and gave Peter Berryman room, but as they went through the apex, it wasn't enough room, and they actually touched wheels, which was unfortunate because it sent Martin van Luzenoord off track, and he lost a bunch of track position. And that was it. That was enough for him to lose the championship and the race. Peter Berryman wins it based on that contact. He also, at first it was announced that he got a drive-through penalty for too many incidents, but it was actually he had gotten right up to that limit. I don't know what the limit was, but he was one short of the limit. And so during the post-race interview, he indicated that he was careful that last stint because he didn't want to get a 1X and have to do a drive-through. So he didn't push real hard, but a very bitter ending to Martin van Luzenoord's fantastic season this year.
Yeah, Mike, I watched the better half of that race as well. It did happen just like you said. But even so, Martin van Luzenoord, he fell like 8 seconds behind Berryman after that crash and wound up making it to within 3 seconds of him. So he gained like 4 positions in that time. So he was driving as hard as he could to try to catch him, but he just kind of ran out of time and probably used up his equipment as well, because at a certain point they kind of leveled out. He stopped gaining on him with the last 3 or 4 laps to go. So he was racing as hard as he could to try to get back up there, but could not make it. So he did wind up finishing 3rd in the race. Martin van Luzenoord did, despite kind of holding back, like he said. He did say that in the post interview. He was afraid just going off track, get 1X, and then he would have to do a drive-through. So bad luck for him. One thing I could say about Martin was that he was very reserved in the post-race interview. You could see he was kind of boiling, but it didn't come out in his verbiage when he was being interviewed. You could see he was holding back because I think he was really upset about that contact. It was kind of iffy. I think Berryman did have enough room to make that turn, but at the same point, Martin didn't give him a whole lot of extra room. So it was kind of one of those racing things where they were fighting for the lead, for the win, really, for the championship even. And just got a little too close to each other. And Peter Berryman was got the better of the incident, was able to continue on, and Martin had a little spin and lost a bunch of time. It was a very interesting race. Another good point you made, Mike, is that if you watch F1 racing, this is all going to seem very familiar to you. The way that they broadcast it, the way the cars go, the pit strategies, and the tire compounds. So that was a really good connection you made to that, and I hope they bring this back next year, despite the rumors of the F1s coming out and and a possible world championships in F1. So we'll see how that plays out. But this is a really fun car to watch race.
It is. It's a fun car to drive. I recommend it. You want to push yourself to the limit speed-wise. I mean, this car is the one to try it on. And so maybe when the F1 car comes out, we're going to have a new top-level car. But who knows? I mean, maybe it won't be as fast as this car. But it was an interesting race and championship. I feel bad for the Martin guy. Like you said, he was pissed, but you could tell. But he also described, what else he's got going in the future, and he's got a series and things going on in R Factor and Assetto Corsa and other things besides iRacing. So he's one of those sim racers that's all over the place.
One thing I just was noticing here with looking at this car from the first thing here with Martin van Luzenoord, his post on Twitter here, that car looks really mean with chrome rims. Like most things, I don't like chrome for the rims, but I don't know, for something about that chrome rims with that car, it looks that car just suits it.
Well, the tires look a little oversized for the car too, and I think that's part of it.
Well, that's what they're doing in F1. F1's going to 18-inch rims next year, as well in their new car. So they're gonna have big rims for racing. I think it's 18s.
So congratulations to Peter Behrman. He's an Apex Racing driver. We just mentioned Apex Racing as John Robinson, who won the Rallycross. So that's 2 championships for their team in like 2 days. So congratulations to Apex Racing.
Yeah, and we have an article coming up soon about Apex Racing as well.
Wow, they're just red hot right now.
Well, before we can get to that, let's take a real quick hit on this listener follow-up from Mark Kaufman. He mentioned that on the Tuesday morning wake-up portion of last night's show, it was more than likely from the Dinner with Racers podcast, iRacing League. They have crazy car track combinations every week, and that race was the 2009 COT Gen 6 IR18 in one class and the Formula Vs in their own class at the same time at iRacing Super Speedway. They have real-world racers that race with the regular racers week in and week out, and it's a great time. This week, they're running the GT3 McLaren F1 as one class, and the Pro 2 light trucks as another class at the Figure 8 in Irwindale. So he says we should check it out, and they actually broadcast one of the races too. This could be a good race, just to especially if it's fixed setup. You know, there's a little bit lower pressure, and you just get to enjoy the silliness of it.
What if the GT3 car, most of them, if they spin around, the Pro Truck can use them as a ramp to go over if they got to go crash into them. Well, McLaren F1 as well.
One of our most fun races when we did the Pro Trucks and the Radicals. A Radical could actually pass a Pro Truck by just going under him. The Pro Truck would just hop and land right back and keep going.
That was one of the best races ever.
So this is where that highlight came from, where the IR18 car was passing those Formula Vs at Super Speedway then.
What a combination, though. The 2009 COT with the Gen 6 car and the IR18. Like, that's crazy.
So the Dinner with Racers podcast, I used to listen to this religiously all the time. I haven't for quite some time. They're a very long format podcast, like well over 2 hours per episode, but fascinating some of the guests they've had.
So
I'll pick this next one up as well because we don't have an assigned on it, but there's a 2-hour stream. iRacing posted the setup. It's now available on YouTube as well, so you can go back and watch it. They went over with their vehicle dynamic specialist how to set up the Gen Cup car, or the next Gen Cup car at Phoenix.
Yeah, and this was Matt Holden and Christian Challoner, and I watched a good first half of this because I was trying to learn something. Did I learn something? I don't know. I think I might have absorbed something through osmosis by watching it. Especially in the beginning when they talk about steering ratio is gone and it's replaced with this other thing, and the numbers are opposite what you would think, and just little tidbits like that you can pick up on by watching a video like this. But then, you know, it shows Christian going and doing a few laps, and then they come in and they make some changes, and then Matt feeds them some changes to make, and you can watch him go in the garage and make those changes. So if you're trying to learn setups or this particular car, this is very invaluable.
Is anybody finding the irony in Mike watching a setup video of a guy practicing?
That's more practice than he actually does, is watching the video.
I hate to do this and play the devil's advocate, but this is why he's not in the practices, because he watches all the videos we don't watch.
Right.
This is true.
I
just like to bug him because of that. We need to get him pit strategy video with crew chief adjustments.
is a good video, and Christian, thank you for putting that out. I'd love to see more of these. I mean, like I said, it's going to take a long time before I absorb some of this stuff. This car is quite different than what we've had before. They talk about some of the differences of what we would do in a Gen 6 car with crossweight versus what would we do in the next gen instead of crossweight to get a similar result, and those kind of things. So great stuff. I can't recommend it enough.
I think the thing is, I think this is where these things should have been done from day one, right? Like when like right now they're doing it for this car, but a lot of these cars should have had some of this knowledge, these videos done for people so that we can, have a little bit of the basics on how to do stuff instead of you just hear everybody grab a setup and run. And maybe these things here might make some drivers want to, learn setups more or do more with their cars instead of just grabbing a quick setup, running a race. I'd like to see this, go on the roadside too on some of these new cars, figuring out how to set up cars for the roadside too as well.
Well, you got to remember, it hasn't been too long that they've hired people like Tanner McCullough, Christian Scholader, these other people that are specialists in driving and setting up cars. And so, yeah, they can't do the videos full time, but yeah, it wouldn't hurt to have them do it once a week or once a month or something. Focus in on something. I think with NASCAR switching to the Gen 7, now's a great time to focus on this particular car because there's a lot of NIS people wondering what we're going to do next year. We talked to our friend Alan Pajari, and he said he's not going to run the NIS because of the new car. And I wonder how many other regulars are going to be in that same boat. I'm kind of concerned about participation, honestly.
It'll still get a good draw. It's going to just have to have more of the younger generation, and I guess it's just going to come down to what it comes down to. The real guys have been having more trouble driving this car than we have, so it's got to be a little bit different. But we'll just see. I still do not like the idea of the 550 horsepower, but we'll see how everything else works with it. Bobby was hypothesizing that they basically just took the Gen 6 car currently and put the Gen 7 body on it.
You mean same engine package?
Yeah, right now we just don't have it's not anywhere close to what it's going to be like when it gets settled.
Well, they just tested it with a 7-inch spoiler today only on 2 cars, so, and the rest of them had 8-inch spoilers. So are they gonna? That's things that they got to figure out before we change all the stuff in iRacing as well.
Well, how would you like to have a sim center to figure all your stuff out for your racing team, Greg?
Well, this is quite interesting because this is, would this be the second team that's kind of doing something? What was it? Coanda Motorsports has their own facility as the other one, Mike? So
yeah, the Purple House.
The Apex,
you can tell this one's British because it's gray instead of purple.
It kind of reminds me of an F1 team, like it's clean and sterile type atmosphere, but from what it looks like, obviously it's not finished. But the Apex Racing Sim Center is going to be coming in 2022. They quoted here as allow our pro athletes a chance to work together and maximize results like never before. The best preparation, equipment, and software, thanks to our partners, will help find the marginal gains needed to needed at the top level, while providing a venue that will be open to use by sim racing community. Now, looking at this is it's quite a. Imagine having a facility just to go to that your team is putting money into for you to race at, work out of. That's what your job now.
So I didn't catch that this is actually a house where they live in, like Coanda does, or if this is just some place where everybody meets or not. I haven't figured that out yet.
It's almost like it's a racing facility. It's like instead
that's what I was thinking.
Instead of creating, they don't make cars there. They they do everything else. It's all the sim-based work, right? It's just basically a place where they can go and they're all on site to run their ideas over each other instead of just doing it over a Discord or anything like that to talk about it. But I mean, there's some big partnerships on board with this too as a sim brand.
So I found they have a video of this facility, or a video about the facility here. I just sent you guys a link in the chat. But yeah, they show the actual facility and they're going on a tour. Now this is the empty building before. So apparently they got the property, they have a building, they haven't actually built it. The screenshots that we saw were CAD drawings of what they envision it to look like. And so the video I'm looking at is basically the team going through the empty building, kind of doing a tour ahead of time of how it's going to lay out and what it's going to look like and stuff like that.
Yeah, they actually have a media room with a green screen and a desk for interviews.
Conduct their own, they can have their own, they can conduct their own social media stuff or anything that they need to right from their own facility.
Pretty freaking cool. I mean, and like we just talked about and documented, I mean, these guys are red hot right now.
Now, since they're a blue and white team, do they get blue carpeting?
I think they have to, just because of our podcast. I mean, we got to call them the Blue House or something, like the Purple House.
What an idea, though. Eh? Who would have thought that sim racing would get you to the point where a facility is an idea. You're paying a bill, like a rent bill or whatever, on the facility every month just to operate it, for people to get together to do this hobby / now obviously it's a job for some of these guys. Like, who would have thought of that?
I mean, you got sponsors, you got revenue, you got to spend that money on something. I mean, this is the next step, right?
I'm actually thinking about the movie Ready Player One, and you have the one dude in the trailer, and the other guys are in this state of the art facility. So we're moving into some of the events, Mike. What do we got coming up first?
Final reminder of what we talked about with Adam earlier. The official Winter Derby late model race is at Five Flags Speedway. Don't forget, it runs the NIS Open slots. And so I was going to run Friday night. I'm actually going to have my grandson over, so that's going to nix that idea. So I'm actually going to miss this event. But trying to talk Adam into doing it to represent.
I might sneak up and do it Sunday morning, but Friday night me and Greg are doing a charity race at Daytona. We're going to go practice a little bit for it after that we finish this race. This podcast.
Yeah, because we screwed up the date last week.
Yippers. And Brian he's going to tell us a little bit about the Esports Driver of the Year. Semis are not the only team in town.
Yeah, that's right. Traxion GG is also taking votes for their Esport Driver of the Year. That's going to be announced on December 19th at the Auto Sports Award. Let's see. So I'm going to go over these drivers in it. Josh Rogers is in there. You can vote for him. Mitchell DeYoung.
Frederick Rasmussen. And Kevin Siggy.
So those guys are probably R-Factors or somebody like that, right?
Right. I actually voted for Mitchell just because I like Coke Racing. And he was such a star this year, Rookie of the Year and all that.
Yeah, and And he finished second in the Porsche Cup too. So I mean, that's a pretty dang good year.
I like these awards better than the semis. I mean, Traxian.gg, man, they have so much good sim content, and for them to put together an award in conjunction with Autosport, I think it carries some weight.
Okay, I got the next one. We have a new car inbound, and especially with IMSA basically chunking the GTE class in the trash, Corvette is now confirming it has a GT3 program.
Well, it doesn't mean we're getting a car, but it probably means we're getting a car.
Well, I mean, the way that the other car came about, I would guess that this wouldn't be far off real quickly if they're building it for a GTE class or GT3 class.
Yeah, that Corvette came out like out of nowhere last time, didn't it?
Well, and it was pushed by Corvette too, right? Like Chevrolet pushed that pretty hard.
Yeah, there was some kind of partnership, wasn't it?
Yeah, with iRacing, and there also was one of the what's the guy's name? I can't remember. I'm bad with remembering today, but anyways, they had a big partnership when they did the video with it when they first brought it out. But if that's the case for, they're gonna have to make sure the GT3 class is correct for the IMSA series, right?
Well, they'll try to get it as close as they can. They'll run up against the number of cars you can have. How many, on a track, which is what, 7 now instead of 6.
Well, I mean, I think. Don't they run a Lexus? There's a Lexus too that they run in the GTEs, or is it? Well, there is a Lexus that runs in IMSA every once there's one team that runs it because Kyle Busch ran it at the 24 last year.
Mike, are we going to hit this bold prediction? Because there's nothing on the script.
Yeah, this is one of those weird screenshots where I added it, but nobody can see it but me. But anyway, what it is, it's a Facebook group post in iRacing Setup Talk and General Discussion by Murphy Nichols, and he says, bold prediction, iRacing will add an LMP3 by the Daytona 24. And what do you guys think? Is this an accurate prediction?
I hope so, because just 2 classes just doesn't feel right.
Do we have a partner that'll give us an LMP3?
If we knew that, we would tell you. I have no clue. Bobby would be the best person to get that kind of info.
Okay, Greg, a big giveaway at the IMSA race this weekend. Well, Drew, who's a previous guest on our podcast, gotta say, I mean, I love the uniform. I mean, he looks like he's in uniform, an iRacing uniform. I mean, he's got the blue polo shirt with the logo. He's got the logo hat. He's got his scanner up on his shoulder and looking all official like.
Yeah, like you're not gonna miss him if he was walking down and the iRacing logo, right?
So that's cool. I couldn't tell from the posts, but did he do this like during the race? Like, hey, if you happen to be paying attention to my Twitter account, you're gonna get some free stuff. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I think later in the race, towards the end, he said, "I still have 3 hats left." So that indicates he gave away about a dozen, I guess, because he had 15 to start with.
And I said that wrong here. Sorry, it was Road Atlanta he's at, not Road America. Because Petit Lamar done at Road Atlanta.
All right, the next event we have is the Last Chance Qualifier Challenge. We were talking earlier about Landon and Kligerman's organization that puts on a lot of neat events. This one is going to be at Charlotte, and it's going to be the All-Star qualifying style, right, that we talked about last week, where you do two laps with a green flag stop. The registration opens on November 17th. Get your practice runs going now.
Already open, so if you guys are doing it, get in it. We also got a listener let us know about a league. It's Nick Belicki, and he said, listen to you guys every week. This is our league. Check it out. And it's basically called the WOSCRL. And I found their Twitter handle here, and it's and they say Saturday nights, Stars and Stripes series. So check those guys out.
We're going to continue to just kind of run through the events here. This is the hosted event that we had for people who have account holders with family members, I think, that are 15 years or under. Is that correct? Yeah. So the registration's open for a one-time only pre-approved live broadcasted event on November 24th at 7:30 Eastern in the evening. It's going to be in the Global MX-5 at the Legacy Michigan track. There's no cost, but please register as soon as possible because the slots are limited. It's an event for family members of an iRacing account holders who are less than 15 years old, or at 15 years and younger. To register, send your league applications to 3F Media League number 7677, and include your family member's name and age and the comments of the league request. If you have any questions, please direct them to 3F Media, and they'll be more than happy to answer them. Have a blessed day, and remember, in a world where you can be anything, be kind.
This would be next Wednesday, so this will be the last time we get to tell everybody about it before it goes on.
Now, Brian, you shared with us some pictures of your son preparing for this event and your big rig. What a treat for him, I'm sure, to not only get to use Dad's stuff, but maybe to show old Dad up a little bit.
Yeah, we practiced a little bit on the weekend, so I was talking to him as he was racing, telling him, how to race, and basically more racing etiquette than how to drive the track, because the MX Cup at Michigan is just full throttle all the way around there. Even in the turns, you don't have to slow up, or there's no drifting. It's hugs the bottom line, so it's pretty easy. But I really wanted to get him to learn some of the ins and outs of racing, not just how to drive a car. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it, and he's pretty excited too.
What a setup he gets to drive on. Most kids, their dads don't have an elaborate rig like you do, but that is just awesome that he gets to do that. VR.
Well, tell us everything that's on that rig that you see, Greg. I mean, there's wind, there's VR, there's motion.
Yeah, he's got that. Because I think I asked you the question. I asked how he was in VR, because VR sometimes for kids is a very daunting task for them to be able to do long periods of times. But I don't think that race is that long, is it?
I haven't got the information on the length of the race yet, so I'm not sure. But he's been in VR for longer than he probably should be. But he's not too. He can handle it.
No, but I mean, he's got one hell of a setup to definitely race, and I'm glad that you're able to share this with your son, though, Brian.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. I have a 15-year-old son. He didn't want anything to do with it. I didn't even bother asking him, to be honest with you, because never he wants to try out my rig. Like the 10-year-old, he's always asking, hey, can I try out? Can I race some? So I always let him do it. The 15-year-old, he never does it. It's weird. Totally different kids.
Whatever Dad's doing is got to be not cool, though. That's what.
That, especially at 15, you're probably right.
Right.
Yeah.
It's the opposite.
See, when I was younger, I always followed what my dad would. My dad was a goalie growing up, so I ended up being a goalie. Like everything he did, I kind of got into. Sports, teams, everything, racing. He's the reason I like racing. So, if you can have that your son be involved with you, I say it's a good thing, Brian.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. Registration was pretty simple. We were the 10th person to register, so there's still a lot of spots open at the time as of last weekend. So, but still, it is limited, so get those in. I actually mentioned this to Tyler Williamson, our teammate, because he's got a 10-year-old as well who plays around on his rig once in a while, and trying to get him to sign up too. So I'll let you know if he gets in there.
His son might get to drive direct drive for the first time before Tyler would.
Yeah, you're right. if the delivery gods are good.
All right, one more quick hit on the events. A reminder about the Get Her Done Racing.
Yeah, so we mentioned this is Pete Cocoa Puff's Copco's league that he started up. He's running races on Sunday night at 9 p.m. In the Cup, Gen 6 Cup cars. And some new announcements in that league. He's opened up a Tuesday night 87 Legends car races as well, and he opened up a GT3 edition, so he's actually going to be turning left in one of these series as well. So all this stuff is stuff that he's testing out before the season one officially begins in February. So he's still taking people taking requests to join the league. iRating has to be under 3,500 and has to be a minimum 25 years old.
Okay, that brings us to housekeeping. Hey, don't forget the Aftermath podcast 2.0, I guess they call it. But yeah, they had one last Saturday. It was pretty good. Their producer didn't show though, so yeah. And we'll see what they come up with next time. Don't forget the website, iRacersLounge.com. And don't forget our coupon code at simcoaches.com. The coupon code is iRacersLounge. We actually also have a referral link. Now, I don't know if the discounts stack, but they're 5% for the referral link, 5% off on the coupon code. But anyway, check those out in the notes of our podcast. And we are on the Performance Motorsports Network. All right, we're going to do an abbreviated hardware software. But first, let's talk about sim coaches a little bit.
David, when you were struggling racing and trying to get around the track in the corners, you didn't know how guys were outbraking you. Did changing pedals make a difference?
Yeah, I believe so. Even in the stock cars, I can drive in deeper and not lock the brakes up. That's kind of the biggie. It's just a lot harder to lock the brakes up, especially if I have them calibrated correctly. So they're great pedals. I stand by them 100%.
And obviously, SimCoach offers that for you with the best hydraulic feeling pedals that you were able to come up with, right?
Yeah, now I have not been able to try any other hydraulic pedals, but it came down to it did ultimately come down to the fact that he had one in stock and was online in the evening answering questions and said, yeah, I've got one on the shelf. And I said, all right, I'm ordering it right now. And boom, I got him. And the customer service is great. Their software is great. We may not get to really talk about it that much, but they've got some new software that allows you to actually even change your brake curve, so you can change the way your brake behaves to get an even better response. I'm nervous about using it because I'm having so much success right now under braking with it running on a flat curve that I don't know if I want to use it, but they've even figured out how to work it with iRacing.
So that SimCoach, they have a lifetime warranty as well on all their products.
They do, and in fact, they call them leak-proof, but I actually, you can always have something go wrong somewhere, even maybe in shipping. And I had my first brake pedal, it was going out, right? It started leaking on me right in the middle of Le Mans. I don't know if you remember when that happened. But he pointed me to how to bleed it, and I was able to bleed it and get it working right again, but it leaked out again, and he immediately sent me a pedal replacement with a return label for the current one, and did not make me wait until it got here. He sent me the pedal first, then let me send the other one, so that I wasn't completely out of commission for a few days. Which is just, that's superior customer service.
So check out simcoaches.com and use the coupon code iRacersLounge to get 5% off your purchase. Simcoaches.com is your ticket to feel like you're actually sitting behind the wheel of a car. Drive harder and stay on the limit longer.
Yeah, guys, people have asked me, because I have a lot of different accessories for my rig. It's like, what could you possibly want next for your rig? The answer is pretty simple. I'm getting better pedals, and I'm getting SimCoach pedals. That's going to be my next purchase for my rig. So that's the one thing you can upgrade that really makes a big difference on the track. And I'm going to go with the best ones out there. I'm going to go with SimCoach.
And that's exactly what I was thinking too, Brian. That would be my next thing to go with it as well, would be a different set of pedals.
The thing is with hydraulic pedals is I'm sure they all perform pretty much the same. So what is the differentiating factor then? I mean, it's the service, the warranty, it's the way they look. And guys, this one wins it 100% of the time. I love the way these pedals look.
Well, and the fact that even David's saying there, sometimes the software can just, if they've got additional software to it where you can update, some guys like to come up with a different curve for the way they brake, and having fine-tuned software like that is the perfect thing that can differentiate this set of pedals from ones that don't have a software attached to it.
And they do have a software update available for these pedals. We're going to cover that next week. But we're going to first talk about Black Friday. So, Brian.
All right, guys. So Fanatec has released their yearly Black Friday deals. So here's what you can get. They're offering their CSL steering wheel, the R300 oval wheel, for $199.95, which is a regular price of $299. So that's a pretty good discount. Their CSL steering wheel, the P1 V2, is $99.95, regularly $119. So that's a $20 discount there. That's an oval rim with paddle shifters and the digital display on the top of the center of the wheel. You can get the CSL pedal load cell kit that's running at $119, normally $139, so $20 discount on that. And then you can get the CSL pedals tuning kit, which is coming out at $34.95.
So not a deep discount.
Yeah, I think they're probably having a hard time filling orders as it is. So, it's probably tough for them to make a wide variety and deep discounts, because there's just their demands are kind of high, and their ability to produce these is probably a little tough right now, just like everybody. So
they're probably just selling what they got in stock. They just know what they can make real quick, and that's what they're selling.
Yeah. It's not the higher end stuff. It's the lower end equipment. It's not the wheelbases and high end wheels. It's the more basic things.
Okay, with that, we're going to move on to results. Let's talk unofficial, official. I ran Mazda Cup at Oran Park, one of my favorite combos again. Before the week ended, I started P20 out of, I think, 33. Got to 13th, but got actually DQ'd out from too many incidents. It was kind of a dirty race, which is unusual. I usually do better in those, but I only ran it once. Then I switched to 360 dirt at Bristol. Did get my result, but enjoying that car. And then finally, I got me a win this week at Carb Cup Charlotte, next gen. I don't think it's the first win in the next gen car. I think I've won Carb Cup in that car a few months ago. But it's nice to get back to victory lane again and to be in there, at least with this car. You know, it wasn't so bad at Charlotte. It's not as glaring a problem there as it is at some of the bigger tracks. Moving on to leagues. Let's talk Winter League.
Do we have to?
Well, David, why don't you start us out? P27.
Yeah, actually, for the most part, it was a good race with just an unclutch ending. I started mid-pack in the 20s. Probably was going to finish in either the low 20s or upper teens. I was doing really good on the long run. Didn't have great short run speed. But we have a caution come out like right when you were about to pit. You'll talk about more about that later. And you're coming to the pit while we are out of gas. You're drooling in. I don't know if I'm going to be allowed to pass you or not. I panic and don't know what gear I'm in. Throw it into first and put myself on the wall. And that just made the car lose all of its go. It cost me some horsepower, and I started like 21st and fell to 27th on the final runs.
Ouch. Okay, P30 is what I got. I was 27th when people started pitting under green on that final run. I decided there was nothing to lose being back that far, so I stayed out, waiting for a caution, running out of fuel. I cycled up to 10th, and I pitted when it was out of fuel, and then caution as I rolled onto pit lane. That's where David wrecked right there, right in front of me, literally. Ended up a lap down, fighting for a lucky dog with Jeff Marble. I took it 3 wide on him, trying to get that lucky dog. But the guy on the inside, he clipped the apron just a hair and came up, and we touched and spun. And yeah, I ended up, finishing a lap down or more, and it kind of sucked. But I was telling Greg afterwards, the field is deep. The field is deep. I mean, we were fighting hard for like 28th or 30th place. I mean, nobody wants to finish last, and everybody in this league is a quality driver.
It has some big names in that field, so it's no doubt that you're going to have that problem. I never got a chance to race Wednesday night. I was working too early and I was just exhausted, so I missed it. But I don't like Texas anyway, so I'm glad I missed it.
It's humbling. I always get humbled in this league. But the usual suspects did kind of work their way up through there. Christian Challoner, Tyler Hudson. They were making their way, and they did. They got up to the top 10. They started in the back. All right, let's talk Man Cave After Dark, Thursday Night Truck League. It was USA, and I started P13 and ended P8. Nick Bradham takes the win. A lot of fun with this league. I missed it the week before. I didn't have the track, and of course I have USA, and I ran this with these guys. It was a fun race. There were a couple early cautions, but we ended up with some long runs at the end, and Scott Bolster's doing a great job over there. I hope we can get some more people to join us on this league. We just need about 10 more guys. So if you're interested in running Thursday night, it's pretty late. Come join us and have a good time. Next league race was Saturday, the Sim 500 Esports Racing League Throwback Arca Series at Vegas. I started P19, finished P17. There were 28 drivers and a caution-free race. I pitted right after the halfway mark this time, which short-pitted everyone else a couple laps. Chris ended up P19, 2 behind me. He actually stayed out again till he ran out of gas. And he did lead some laps because he stayed out when everyone else pitted, but he lost all his track position at the end. And I don't know if he ended up better or worse, but at some point, Chris is going to catch a caution, and that's going to pay off that strategy, but I don't know when. OBRL Arca, Brian, P6, Chicago.
Yeah, we were at Chicagoland. It was the round of 8 of the playoffs, which I was outside of, so I'm not in this, but still great race. I like Chicagoland. It's a fun track. It was a solid race all around. I was not aggressive on the starts and the restarts just because some of the guys who were being more aggressive, I wound up passing them on the long runs. So it's nice because OBRL, you can count on long runs because there's not a whole lot of riffraff in those races. So the longer the run got, the better I got compared to the other cars around me. So I wound up working my way up to P6, and it was a fun race.
Okay, and then last week's guest, Steve Thompson, wins the OBRL Aftermath Truck Series, and Josh Robinson second, Dwayne MacArthur third. Now, these guys need to make up a rubber stamp that says Steve Thompson first, Josh Robinson second, and Dwayne MacArthur third, because I'm pretty sure I've read off that same combination of names like 100 times now.
Well, I think you need to, instead of doing that, give the credit for the interview for the win again.
That's right. Another interview by the podcast that wins. How about that? Well done, Greg. All right, let's talk the OBRL Cup Series. Brian, Daytona P20.
Yeah, this is a Sunday morning race at Daytona. They just started their mini off-season where they just race up until the next Daytona 500. So I got involved in a wreck in front of me early in the race, which actually was involved Tony Rochette, who got involved in that wreck, and I was trailing behind and wound up catching the tail end of that crash, and I was just off pace for the rest of the day. So I finished P20. It was a full field, so there was 40 drivers in there. So a good turnout. After that early race, I think it went green all the way to the end. So a lot of fun, good race. I just wish I was a little bit faster.
All right, and then the Get Her Done Racing League, Tyler Williamson, P12. It was fun racing. I had a blast. My last race, hopefully, with the G27. I'm excited for the Lady in Black next week.
Yeah, just to give you a little background on this, Tyler and I were talking, and we were looking. He was looking especially for something to do Sunday nights now that NIS is over. I said, well, let's do this league. So he signed up to try it out, and I jumped in with him. So we raced at Phoenix. I got a P6. I was in the top 5 car in front of me that blinked out and then just reappeared like right in front of me, and I swerved to miss him and wound up hitting the car down low. I didn't get really any damage, but I just lost a lot of track position, and then being in the back of the field, cars wrecked and I T-boned somebody really bad, but luckily there was a fast repair, so I was able to get that fixed, get back in the race. That was fairly early, and wound up working my way back to a 6th place there. So it was a nice race. This is Tyler's first experience in league racing, so I think he's really going to enjoy that. The benefits of league racing, as far as running with the same people every week, getting to learn people's names and being able to talk to them. So that's the new Get It Done Racing Series, and it's a good start. So they're still working out some kinks, but it's going to be a good league, I believe.
All right, there's nothing like off-season winter leagues to keep us busy until the Daytona 500. So. Look, lots of fun. Let's get into final thoughts.
The Rolex is the one you got to worry about first before you get to ovals.
Ooh, touche. We don't even know, is there going to be an LMP3 though for us to run?
What did you guys call the team last? Team Fun? What was the?
Yeah, Team Fun.
I think it was Team Fun. Yeah.
I don't know. Running second to Landon Castle was pretty fun too.
That was a good night. That'll be always the best. That'll be my highlight of the year.
Okay. Okay, let's get into final thoughts. Brian McCullum.
I'm just going to go back to the race for the kids. I'm really excited to work with my son Luke some more this weekend. I believe I'm going to open up a hosted session. I'll post it out to the messages for all the guys in here. If you're free, just want to run some easy laps, just to get Luke some time racing with other cars, because that's the one thing you can't teach in that race, because there's no AI for the Mazdas at Michigan. So I'll post something in the forums, and hopefully you guys will jump in. I don't think I'm going to make it open to anybody, just because he's going to have the chat enabled, and who knows what you'll hear. Maybe I shouldn't invite Greg then. I don't know. So
I was just going to have a good idea too. I was going to say Mike needs to interview him so he can win.
Good idea.
Great idea.
So I'm just kidding. But another thing about that cheerleader.
And I'm of the four of us on the screen here, there's only one of us that's been chat banned. I do point that out, and it's for a substantial amount of time.
Good call.
I'll have you know it was the minimum amount of time.
It was more than anybody else on the team.
Speaking of chat, that they did say in the rules for that kids race that chat is disabled, so you won't be able to talk to the other drivers, which is probably a good idea when you have little kids in there. So I'm looking forward to that. So I'll post something in the messages, and if you guys get a chance, maybe you can beat and bang with my kid for a little bit.
Wait, so your training doesn't include yelling down the guy who just dumped you in the wall?
No. That's why I was questioning if Greg should be on there or not.
One thing you can't say is go back to Mazdas.
Well, I guess what you would say is go back to the Solstice, because that would be the first one, right?
There you go. Yep.
Okay, David Hall, final thoughts.
I'm a blank slate tonight.
What about your goggles?
We'll see. I'm still fighting this tracking issue. I think it's memory related or USB related. I've tried different USB hubs. I've tried shutting down all kinds of things, and yesterday I was able to get through without any major problems. So we'll see. If not, I'll be looking to switch to something else at some point.
Well, we talked about maybe reinstalling Windows first.
Yeah, there's that too.
But you're also kind of looking at goggles too. Maybe if you need to buy a new one.
Yeah.
Maybe those Varhos?
I think the Varhos are just a little bit too much. A little bit overkill, maybe.
Yeah, because you don't have those base stations either, right?
No.
You've always had Oculus stuff.
Yeah.
So it's a $2,000 headset plus probably $500 or $600 for the base set.
So it's kind of like. I guess I'll just have to compare the Quest versus the Reverb and make a decision.
Okay, Greg Hectus, final thoughts.
I don't have much either because I can't remember anything tonight, but I do remember we have a race tomorrow night, David.
What'd you say?
Exactly. If you have a name or anything that I butchered on this show, I apologize, and if I forgot about who you are, I apologize. Yeah, I don't really have much. I didn't do much racing this week. I've been really busy work-wise, and it's been a little bit hectic because the weather's gotten a little worse, so it's taken a little bit longer in the days to do work. So, yeah, but I'm looking forward to practicing tonight and racing tomorrow night.
All right. Yeah, I'm going to do the Man Cave After Dark tonight. I don't even know what the track is, so hopefully I own the track, and I'll look after this. And get that done. We got the Arca race on Saturday with the Sim 500 guys, and just enjoying the league racing. I got 3 leagues I'm kind of going through. I'm running some official, unofficial stuff, some hosted stuff in the meantime, and it's nice. It's off season. Don't want to overdo it. I want to take an off season, and but I don't want to stop racing either, especially with my brand new rig and wanting to use it and all. So happy to get a win this week in Carb Cup. Hey, the old man still got some chops, and I proved it. So with that, hey, we'll see you on the track. Later.